I helped moderate a small local subreddit, mostly stolen bikes, and anyone hear that explosion? Posts. Then a missing person thread popped up with a photo that looked too normal to be tragic. Smiling woman, work badge, last seen near a station I used. I pinned it. I boosted it. I told myself I was useful. I kept the tab open at work and refreshed like a maniac, deleting the usual trash and trying to keep the post clean enough that normal people wouldn't bail. It still turned into a circus fast. People argued like it was a show. One guy posted a blurry photo of some random woman on a bus and swore it was her. Another started naming suspects from the comments. I yanked those down, then got jumped in mod mail for censoring, like I was hiding evidence, like I was on someone's payroll. I'm not a cop. I'm not anyone. I just had the pin button. Mod mail filled up with garbage within 2 hours. Fake tips, porn links, help me find my lost cat spam, and a bunch of losers trying to farm karma by acting like they personally knew her. I kept removing, locking, warning, and it didn't matter. Every time I deleted a comment, 3 more took its place. One of the other mods messaged me and said we should unpin it because it was attracting freaks. I told him to stop being a coward, that the whole point was visibility. He shot back that visibility also attracts the kind of people who like missing women. We went back and forth, both pissed, both acting like the sub was a battlefield and not a local message board. He told me I was turning it into my personal project. I told him he could quit if he didn't like it. That's what I mean when I say it got ugly. Even the mod team couldn't stay on the same page. Then the weird part started. One user kept sending, "I saw her," messages with no details. Same sentence, no punctuation, over and over. They posted it in comments, they sent it in mod mail. They replied to random users with it like a glitch. I asked once for a location and time. They sent, "I saw her." I warned them to stop spamming or give specifics. I saw her. Again, it wasn't even trolling in a clever way. It was like someone tapping a nail into my head. I snapped and told them to stop spamming. I muted them. I went back to cleaning the thread. They replied with my full name, not my username, not a guess like, "Hey, Kevin." My actual first and last name, spelled right, sitting there like it belonged. My stomach dropped so hard I had to grip my desk. I hadn't used my real name anywhere. I don't post personal shit. I don't sign messages. I don't do the "hi, I'm a mod, nice to meet you" crap. I clicked their profile. Fresh account, nothing on it. I stare at the empty page like it would explain itself. A new message came in with a screenshot of my LinkedIn profile and a note. "You like digging?" My head went hot and cold at the same time. It was my actual LinkedIn photo, the dumb professional smile, my job title, the company logo. They didn't even bother hiding it. They wanted me to see they had it open. Like, yes, I can reach in your real life anytime I want. I started replaying every tiny thing I'd done online. Every comment, every old account, every time I'd used my phone number for a login. It felt like the floor moved under me and I couldn't find a stable place to stand. I banned the account. Hard ban. Reported it. Moved on like that would fix it. Another account appeared 10 minutes later, brand new, and dropped my old address. The apartment I lived in years ago, the one I'd only ever used for bills. Then another one posted my work schedule like they were reading it off the wall in my office. Then they mentioned a coffee shop I work from on Tuesdays. Not the general area, the specific day, the habit, that one punched me in the throat. You don't find a Tuesday habit on Google. You watch it, you track it, or you get it from someone who does. I messaged the other mods again, more aggressive this time, and told them to lock the thread if they weren't going to help. One mod told me I was paranoid and that doxers always bluff. I sent him the screenshot. He went quiet. Another mod said we should step down and let admin handle it. I told him admin doesn't handle shit, and he knows it. We argued until my hands cramped. Then I stopped answering because my phone kept buzzing with new accounts and new little slices of my life. They didn't dump everything at once. They fed it to me like a drip. A piece, then a pause. A piece, then a pause. Like they wanted me to sit in it and imagine what they had left. They started mixing it into the missing person thread too, baiting the crowd. Funny how the mod pinned this so fast. Funny how he knows the station. Someone replied, maybe he did it. People laughed, then half believed it, because people love a villain they can point at. I deleted those, locked a few comment chains, and still got accused of hiding the truth. I couldn't win. If I acted, I looked guilty. If I didn't, I looked useless. I pulled up my own name on search and hated what I found. Old profiles, old mentions, stuff I'd forgotten existed. I started changing passwords like a man in a burning house, even though I knew this wasn't a password problem. This was a person problem. Someone was doing this on purpose, with energy, with focus. And they weren't just interested in me. They kept posting the missing woman's photo back at me, like they were reminding me what the game was about. Like my panic was part of her story now. I thought about calling the cops, and then pictured myself standing there saying, a Reddit user knows my Tuesday coffee shop. They'd nod, write nothing, tell me to log off. So I stayed online, because that's where the threat lived, even though it didn't anymore. It had already stepped outside the screen. By late afternoon, I couldn't sit still. I kept checking my door cam feed, even though I don't have a door cam. I kept listening for footsteps in the hallway of my apartment, even though I was still at work. I left early, told my boss I felt sick, and he looked annoyed like I was making it up. I didn't correct him. I went home and kept my keys between my fingers like that would turn me into someone who could handle this. That evening I got home and found my doormat flipped upside down. Under it sat a cheap burner phone, still on, screen lit with a missing woman's photo. No note, no call me, just the picture like a command. I stopped dead in the hall. I looked around like the walls might be watching. No footsteps, no doors opening, nothing. Just that phone glowing under my mat like it belonged there. I didn't touch it with my bare hand. I grabbed a plastic grocery bag, wrapped it around the phone, and lifted it. The screen stayed lit. Her smile stayed fixed. It wasn't a lock screen with notifications. It was just her face, full brightness, shoved into my space. Someone had to come to my door, crouch down, flip the mat, place it, flip the mat back, and walk away. They did it slow enough to be neat. That's what scared me more than anything. Not rushed, not sloppy, calm. I carried it down the hall to the trash chute. My building has those heavy metal chute doors that slam like a gunshot. I shoved the phone in without thinking. I wanted it gone. I wanted it out of my hands. I wanted to erase the fact that it ever touched my home. I heard it clatter down, metal on metal, then a dull thump. I stood there for a second, breathing hard, waiting for the relief that didn't come. Because my brain immediately did the math. If they can put it there, they can put something else there. If they know my Tuesday coffee shop, they can know my door. If they know my door, they can know when I'm asleep. My own phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost dropped it. I pulled it out and saw a new private message from an account I hadn't banned yet. Or maybe I had and it didn't matter. Wrong shoot. My own house showed up in my inbox with a red circle around the side gate. Not Google, not public. A screenshot from some creep's phone, taken from the alley like he'd been standing there breathing my garbage air. I'd posted a dumb rant on Reddit about a breakup. Nothing identifying, just that he wouldn't leave me alone vent. I typed it fast, angry, then reread it and scrubbed out anything that sounded like a place. No street, no bar, no landmark. No, my neighborhood does this. Throwaway account, fresh browser, the whole paranoid routine because I've been online long enough to know how people get. I hit submit anyway because my head wouldn't shut up and I wanted someone to tell me I wasn't insane for being exhausted. Within an hour, my throwaway got chat requests. The first ones looked supportive until you actually read them. They didn't ask if I was okay. They asked for inventory. Where does he live? Where do you live? Are you alone? What kind of locks do you have? One guy tried to sound gentle and still kept steering it back to just tell me the city. I blocked him. More came. A few were horny in that bored, lazy way, like my fear was a dating app filter. A few were straight up nasty, calling me a liar, calling me attention-seeking, like my life was a comment section game. Then the threats started. Not movie threats. Little jabs meant to hook me into replying. Show your door. Bet you won't. You want attention. One message said, "Post your window view." Another said, "If he's real, name him." It was like they wanted me to dox myself for entertainment. I deleted the post, thinking cutting it off would starve it. And I kept telling myself I'd been careful, that anonymity works if you don't get sloppy. Then a helpful stranger offered to verify me. Verify, like I was a product and they were checking if my pain was authentic enough to deserve help. They wrote like they had tools, like they could trace accounts, like they'd handled this before. It felt rehearsed. It felt hungry. I told them to fuck off and blocked them. And I remember this stupid little flare of pride in my chest because for once I didn't play nice. 5 minutes later, my email pinged. No subject. Random Gmail address. One attachment. And there was my house from the alley angle with the red circle around the side gate. My stomach dropped so hard I tasted pennies. I zoomed in until the picture broke into blocks, looking for a reflection on a window, a shadow on the pavement, anything that proved it was fake. It wasn't fake. I recognized my trash cans. I recognized the old sticker on the gatepost. I recognized the way my fence bows in where a delivery truck bumped it last year. I went straight into damage control because that's easier than feeling. I checked my Reddit settings. No linked email. No obvious leaks. I checked my browser, my saved logins, my autofill like I'd find a smoking gun tucked in a drop-down menu. I changed my Reddit password, then my email password, then everything else because panic spreads. I turned on two-factor like it was a prayer. I called the non-emergency police line and tried to say it without sounding like a lunatic. Anonymous post, threats, then a photo of my home from my alley. The dispatcher kept dragging it back to the basics. Do you know who it is? Has he touched you? Has he come to your door? Do you see him right now? I said no, not on my doorstep, but yes, he's close enough to photograph my gate. She told me to save the messages and avoid engaging. Like I was out here chatting for fun. I asked her what I was supposed to do with a photo and a message, how you even file that. She went quiet for a second, like she was choosing the correct script. She said to document everything, don't respond, and call 911 if I saw the car or the person again. I told her I'd seen a car, and she asked if I could give a plate. I said no. She said there wasn't much else she could do tonight. After I hung up, I walked my house like a guard dog that doesn't know what it's guarding. I checked the deadbolt. I checked the back door. I ran my fingers along the window latches. I opened the side door and yanked the gate from the inside, and it rattled in that loose way that used to just annoy me. Now it sounded like a welcome sign. I stared at the latch and hated myself for every time I'd half closed it because my arms were full of groceries and I didn't want to fuss with it. Next day, a package arrived with no return address. Plain brown box, light as hell, cheap tape. I stood on my porch with it in my hands, arguing with myself. Toss it, don't open it, don't bring it inside. Then I carried it in anyway, because curiosity is its own addiction. I cut it open. Inside, a cheap keychain that matched mine, same chipped plastic logo, like a warning that he could copy anything. Same shape from a local gym that went out of business years ago. Same worn corner where mine always catches on my pocket. My throat tightened like I'd swallowed a hook. I dumped my purse onto the kitchen floor and pawed through everything like I was searching for a tracking tag. Receipts, gum, loose change, my pepper spray, my keys. I held my real keychain in one hand and the fake in the other, and my brain kept trying to build a harmless explanation out of dust. There wasn't one. I threw the fake in the outside trash, slammed the lid, and stood there breathing hard, staring at the alley behind my fence like it might blink. My phone buzzed with a new Reddit message from a fresh account. One line, "You threw it away." No drama. No punctuación. Just proof he watched me do it. I called my friend, and we started arguing immediately, both of us talking too fast. She told me to leave the house. I told her I couldn't let some basement freak chase me out of my own place. She said that wasn't bravery, it was stupidity. I snapped back because I didn't want to hear it. I hung up mad and then sat there shaking because she was right and being right didn't give me a plan. That evening, I kept checking the street through the blinds. I kept my phone charged. I kept my keys on the counter like I might need to bolt. Every notification made my stomach twist, and I stopped opening messages because reading them felt like feeding him. I tried to eat and couldn't. I tried to shower and kept listening for the gate latch. So I shut the water off twice mid-shampoo just to stand there in silence like a maniac. That night a car idled outside with lights off. I watched from the kitchen floor, phone in my hand, trying not to breathe loud. The car wasn't there, and then it was a dark shape across the street with the engine humming low. It crept forward 2 feet, stopped, crept again like someone lining up a shot. Not like parking, like aiming. I pressed my cheek to the wall under the window and peeled the blinds, opened a sliver with one finger, terrified my silhouette would show. I tried to call 911 and couldn't make myself do it. My thumb hovered and froze. My brain kept insisting that the second I made noise, he'd move, and I'd be the one who triggered whatever came next. I hate admitting that because it sounds pathetic, but fear makes you pathetic. I raised my phone camera and zoomed through the blinds, tried to catch a plate, trying to catch anything that proved it wasn't in my head. My hand shook so bad the image bounced. I snapped a photo through the blinds. Flash reflected. The car rolled away fast. It didn't peel out. It didn't honk. It just moved clean and sure, like he'd been waiting for me to do that. I stared at the photo and got nothing useful, just glare and blur where the plate should have been. All I'd done was light myself up. My Reddit account got a new message right after, "Good girl. Curtains next time." My skin went cold. That wasn't trolling. That was training. That was him telling me he watched me watch him and he liked how I reacted. I grabbed my keys like I was going to run, then realized I had nowhere to go at midnight that wouldn't make me look like prey. I checked the side gate with a flashlight. The latch had fresh scrape marks, bright thin lines in the metal like somebody tested it and backed off. I ran my thumb over one and felt a tiny burr. I locked it from the inside anyway, even though the red circle in that email kept flashing in my head like a target. I walked the fence line twice, flashlight sweeping the boards like I could catch a fingerprint with my eyes. I checked the windows from the outside and hated how exposed every pane looked, like the house was just a lit box for someone to study. I pulled the curtains tight and still felt seen because he'd already told me he could see through them if I slipped up. I dragged a chair against the back door. I left every light on. I charged my phone. I sat on the kitchen floor because it let me see the hallway and the front door at the same time. Every house sound tried to turn into footsteps. The fridge clicked and I flinched. Pipes ticked and I held my breath. I kept replaying that stupid Reddit post like it was a confession. I didn't sleep. I sat with the lights on and waited for the doorknob to twitch. The dryer ate my sock, so I dug behind the machines and found a pile that didn't belong to anyone sane. I wasn't on some ghost hunting kick. I was just tired, irritated, and trying to get through a normal week without this building taking something else from me. One sock went in, one sock came out. I did the dumb little checks, lint trap, rubber seal, reach around the drum like maybe it stuck to the back. Nothing. So I dropped to my knees and shoved my phone light into the gap between the dryers and the wall. My fingers hit dust and coins and something soft. Not one sock, a lot of fabric. I hooked it and yanked. It dragged like it was snagged on something, so I pulled harder, knuckles scraping metal. A bundle slid out and landed on the floor like a dead animal. Sock, underwear, sport-bras, all tied together with thin string. Each bundle had a little paper tag, like the kind you'd see on a key at a sketchy motel. Dates, building numbers, apartment letters, neat handwriting, same pen, same steady hand. I read one tag twice because my brain didn't want to accept it. Our building number, our apartment letter, a date from last month. I read another and my stomach dropped harder. Same street name, but a different building number. That meant somebody carried this shit in from somewhere else. I leaned in and saw more shoved back there, deeper, packed like someone used the space on purpose. Not just a stray pile, a stash. It wasn't lost laundry either. Some of it looked clean, rolled socks paired, underwear tucked into bras like someone packed it. The tags didn't look like jokes. It looked like records, like proof. I stood there with lint on my palms, heart punching my throat, and I got this sharp, ugly thought. If I've seen the tags, whoever did this knows I've seen the tags. It felt like stepping on a grave by accident, like the ground notices your foot. I should have grabbed a tag. I should have taken a photo. I didn't. I panicked in the quietest way possible. I shoved everything back where I found it, pushing it deep with my whole hand, trying to undo the last 30 seconds like that was a thing. The string snagged on the dryer edge, and I had to jam it in harder, hating that I was touching any of it. When it finally disappeared into the dark, I stood up too fast, bumped my head on the dryer door, and didn't even feel it. I grabbed my basket and went for the basement door. It wouldn't budge. The handle turned, but the door stayed planted. I leaned into it. Nothing. Then it clicked, deadbolt. Locked from the other side. No warning, no alarm, no big movie moment. Just that quiet certainty that says someone decided you're not leaving. I swore loud. I slammed the door once, then twice, because anger is the first thing I can reach when fear starts climbing. I pulled my phone out and called my roommate. No service. Basement's a dead zone. I paced under the stairwell, held the phone up, tried the stupid airplane mode trick like it's a prayer. Nothing. The dryers thumped behind me, and suddenly the noise didn't feel normal. It felt like cover. Footsteps came down the stairs slow. Not running, just steady, like whoever was knew I couldn't go anywhere. I looked around for anything to hold. No weapon, no exit, just plastic chairs, a folding table, and a vending machine that sells stale chips. I grabbed an empty detergent bottle off the shelf and held it like it meant something. My hand still shook. I hated that more than anything that my body wanted to fold. He stepped into view by the vending machine. Maintenance uniform, keys on his belt. Same guy I'd nodded at in the lobby a dozen times. I'd watched him carry packages, replace bulbs, joke with the front desk lady like they were buddies. Down here, he didn't joke. He didn't even look surprised to see me. He looked past me at the dryers, straight at the gap, like he was checking inventory. My brain tried to talk me out of it. Maybe it's policy to lock the door at night. Maybe he's here to help. Then he took a step toward the dryers, not toward me, and I knew he wasn't here for my sock. He didn't ask if I needed anything. He didn't ask why I was on the floor. He just moved like he needed to get to the machines before I did anything else. I moved first. I lunged for the stairs, basket banging my leg. He reached for my wrist, missed, caught my sleeve instead. The fabric tore. He didn't apologize. He didn't flinch. He just tried to hold on like I was a bag slipping off a hook. I twisted hard, ripped free, and kept climbing. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see his face close behind me. I just heard his boots hit the first steps, slow like he still had time. I hit the hallway, shoved through the heavy fire door, and ran for the lobby like my life depended on cameras. I burst out by the front desk and started yelling like a crazy bitch because loud was the only shield I had. I pointed at the ceiling domes, at the shiny little eyes. I yelled that the basement door was locked, that someone deadbolted, that he grabbed me, that I found tag closed behind the dryers, that somebody needed to call the cops. People froze. A guy with a dog pulled his leash like I was contagious. The front desk lady stood up and did that tight smile thing, the one that says you're making her shift harder. She tried to get me to lower my voice. She tried to steer me away from the cameras like it was about privacy. That pissed me off so bad I got louder. I kept pointing at the domes and yelling that I wanted this on record. My roommate finally answered upstairs, and I snapped into the phone, telling her to get down here now because I wasn't going back alone. She showed up in sweats and immediately got embarrassed. Instead of backing me, she started arguing with me right there like I was making it up. She kept saying I lose things all the time, that I'm stressed, that maybe I dropped the sock somewhere else. I told her to shut the fuck up and look at my sleeve. She saw the tear and still tried to smooth it over, like peace mattered more than truth. The stairwell door opened and he walked into the lobby like he'd just come from taking out trash. No kitty, no panique. He didn't look at me like a person. He looked at me like a problem that got noisy. The front desk lady said his name like he was her co-worker, not the guy who just tried to stop me from leaving. I demanded they pull the footage. She said tenants don't get footage. I told her to check it right now. She said she couldn't access it without management, and management was gone. I told her to call them anyway. She refused and started talking to me like I was the one being unsafe. I made them come down with me anyway. Front desk lady, my roommate, and one random tenant who got curious. Basement door opened fine now. Of course it did. The deadbolt wasn't flipped anymore. The room looked normal, like it had reset. I pointed at the exact dryer and told the tenant to reach behind it. He crouched, shined his phone in, felt around, and said he found nothing but dust and a couple quarters. My roommate latched onto that like it proved I imagined it. She said, loud enough for the front desk lady to hear, that I was spiraling. I wanted to slap her. I didn't. I just stood there shaking, staring at the gap, knowing it was deeper than his arm went. I stood there shaking, staring at the gap, and I got this stupid impulse to prove I wasn't crazy. I grabbed the dryer door and tried to yank the machine forward. It barely budged. The tenant told me to stop before I broke something and got charged for it, and the front desk lady actually took a step back like I was the threat now. That flipped my stomach even more. I called the non-emergency line anyway. They asked if I was injured. I said my sleeve tore and my wrist hurt and I didn't feel safe in my own building. They asked if I had photos. I said no. The pause on the line felt like a verdict. They said they could take information, but without evidence it might not go anywhere. That word, evidence, made me think of those tags again, like little receipts, and I nearly threw up in the lobby bathroom. Management emailed me back the next morning with corporate mush. We take safety seriously. We will investigate. No name, no direct answer, no promise he'd be removed. My roommate kept telling me to drop it because we needed to renew soon and she didn't want drama attached to us. We fought hard that night. She called me paranoid. I called her a coward. She said I was trying to ruin someone's job. I said he already ruined something, we just hadn't found the rest of it yet. And the words came out before I could stop them. I stopped using the basement. I carried laundry to a friend's place like I was hiding a bruise. Every time I heard keys jingle in the hallway, my body tensed before my brain caught up. Sometimes I'd see him across the lobby and he'd look right through me, calm as ever, like nothing happened and I was just another tenant who caused trouble. And I kept replaying that moment in the laundry room, how he looked at the dryers instead of me, like the machines mattered more than the person standing there breathing. The next day, every single machine had fresh, out-of-order signs, like he was wiping the scene.